Hi, I'm Robert Jackman, and thank you for watching my channel, The Art of Practical Wisdom. Today, I want to talk with you about my book, Healing Your Lost Inner Child. Many of you are working through the exercises in each chapter, which I really appreciate very much because that really is what's going to make the difference in your experience going through the healing process. In chapter 5, I talk about writing healing letters to yourself. So this is where the inner child writes a letter from the perspective of that age, that younger age, to the adult self, and the adult self writes back to the inner child. And it really helps to, if you can bring yourself, transport yourself back to that time, that age of wounding. In my example, it was when I was 10 years old. And what you're doing is you're really getting into that headspace. You're connecting to what was going on in your family of origin household at the time. And you're really specifically connecting to the feelings that you were having. So, for example, I felt pretty confused as far as what was going on. It was really overwhelming to me as a boy. And I was trying to fix it using all of my wounded tools, but they weren't working. And then I felt that something was wrong with me, that I couldn't impact the family and I couldn't make it better. I couldn't be the peacemaker. And so I felt like a failure, that I wasn't doing my part. So this is where you would connect to what was going on in your family of origin, how you were feeling at the time, and writing a letter to your adult self saying, this is what's happening, this is how I'm feeling. The adult self then writes back to the younger child. And this is really a key part of it because in many ways this is reparenting that's happening, that you're doing with yourself. So you're writing back to your younger self and you're really addressing and validating the feelings that the lost inner child is expressing. So the adult self is validating those feelings and acknowledging them, and as well as putting into perspective what's happening at the time. So this is where the adult self is explaining the why this is happening and what's going on in the family, and really helping the inner child understand that so many things that were going on were out of their control, and to really describe, this is what's happening to mom, this is what's happening to dad. And so that's what the letters from the adult self are doing with, for the inner child. So what you would do is do these letters back and forth. Normally, it's not a once and done sort of thing. And if you have the companion workbook, on page 124, I give examples of where I'm prompting you. So I'm giving you examples to write out, like, dear adult me, and I really feel blank right now. The people in my life, especially blank, have been blank lately. So that gives you an idea of how you can plug in some feelings and some situations that way, and it might help to get you in that mode of writing those symbolic letters. I think it's so important that we're reframing and bringing in perspective for our younger selves, because we were so lost in this codependent world, and we were trying our best with these wounded tools that we had created to help us navigate these very difficult times. So it's important to let the inner child know that it is safe to have the experience that you're having. It's safe to feel these feelings now and to express them, and that's going to come through with the validation and the acceptance and the love. So it's a beautiful time of really affirming and giving yourself this knowledge, this wisdom, that the inner child is really waiting to hear. And people will say, well, how do I know that this is working? How do I know that I'm, doing a good job with this? And what I say is, well, ask your inner child. So ask the inner child, how does it feel when I give you perspective and when I validate your feelings? And then have the inner child write back to you. It's a pretty magical process, when we put pen to paper or even when you're typing it out. And you can sort of go into this trance space, this dissociated space, where you've kind of detached and you're allowing yourself to really channel that emotional information that was happening in your family of origin household when you were little. And that's how you sort of get into that mode. And so you're going to be having these back and forth letters where you're really discovering, what's there as far as the emotional information. And the inner child is going to be revealing a lot of information to you that's going to be really helpful for your healing journey. So that's the description of the back and forth letter writing, and the purpose of it is to really affirm and validate the language of the inner child, and to then help that inner child then integrate with the adult self. And the integration happens with the boundary setting, the consistent boundary setting, which I've talked about in other videos, where the inner child is looking for the adult self to be consistent with those boundaries. Because for most of us as children, we didn't have boundaries, or if we tried to assert our boundaries, they were just violated, or they were disregarded, they weren't respected. And so that's why the inner child keeps stepping forward, stepping in front of the adult self, trying to protect us with those wounded tools that we developed as children. So it's kind of a vicious cycle, but the letter writing is a pivotal step in the healing process. As always, you can write to me through the Art of Practical Wisdom, or you can leave comments below, and I'll try to get back to you and answer those questions. But keep up the good work, be strong, and know that there's healing that's waiting for you. Blessings to you.